Well, you may have noticed a significant increase in the price of Bitcoin over the past year. This, of course, follows the debacle of FTX. So I thought it would be a great time and opportunity to really look at the industry and see what the opportunities are and where we go from here. And also, in part, because we just had some very significant news last week that the SEC has approved Bitcoin spot ETFs in the United States. So for that, let me bring in our guest today, Fred Pye, founder of 3IQ, which is a digital asset management company. And importantly, Fred, thank you for joining us. Importantly, you are really one of the pioneers in this space. And I think for the younger people, they would call you one of the OGs, one of the originals. So I want to thank you for being here. I know you're coming to us from Switzerland because there's digital asset conferences there, but thank you. And why don't we just talk about your beginnings in this space and just what your company is and what you saw back in 2012?
Well, in 2012, I was managing a multi-asset momentum portfolio, and investment advisors and money managers, we look at 16 basic asset classes to manage. And I stumbled on this thing called Bitcoin, and I understood it really quickly and really easily. And then I said, well, how would I put Bitcoin in my my regulated portfolio for regulated investors in Canada? And that's when we went on the long 5-year challenge with the Ontario Securities Commission to have the right to put Bitcoin in a regulated ETF or in a regulated platform. And we won in 2019, and hence Canada became the pioneers of the very first regulated Bitcoin products in the world.
Hmm. And full disclosure, I bought that product, QBTC. I never traded it, I never sold it, and I still own it, so which I'm glad about. So Fred, there's obviously been a lot of volatility and a lot of controversy within the space, which we'll get to in a moment. But there really was significant news last week with the SEC now also proving it much later than what happened in Canada. But talk to us about what that means, the impact, and the significance.
Well, I think we've seen Bitcoin grow from a zero value asset in the eight nine to $1 trillion asset 12, 14 years later. And if you were to ask around the corner, does everybody in the world own Bitcoin? The answer is no. We're in Switzerland here, and 80% of the big wealth and the family offices haven't adopted Bitcoin for either defensive reasons or for aggressive growth reasons. And Bitcoin's that unique asset that it's both a risk on and a risk off asset. So there's an awful lot of education to do around the world, but we're really seeing, specifically when you travel the world like we do, the adoption growing. But a big step to that was getting general acceptance in the US market. The lion's share of wealth is held in the United States in investor accounts, investment accounts at the biggest dealers, the biggest brokerage firm, the biggest custodians, the biggest asset managers. And by providing a regulated product in the United States, we think it's a big catalyst to the entire industry growing. So we're very positive, whether it's Europe or Asia or the United States, to follow in the footsteps of Canada. I think it's fantastic. And we hope this industry continues to grow dramatically as we've seen it.
And so, for just to be specific, so our Canadian viewers and viewers around the world understand, the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, has now said, yes, we believe that this is a product or that should be made available to investors, and we're going to kind of regulate around it. As before, from what I understand, anything that was available in the States wasn't even available to access at the big firms and was on kind of the pink sheets area of the market. Only 30 seconds to respond here, and then we'll pick it up on the other side of the break.
Yeah, no, well, really the difference is giving easy access to investors and to investment advisors to buy Bitcoin. And that really is the key. Now, when we won our case in Ontario, in the court case, it had much more to do with Ontario saying, we can approve that this is a regulated product, but the gatekeepers are with the asset managers, with the risk departments of the major dealers. And we are still a long way from the major dealers opening up the door and saying everybody can buy it.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.